Welcome back to Real Mark. I'm Mark Still. Before we get started this year talking about how the training's going and nutrition and interviewing these 6 friends of mine that I'm going to talk to as we all get ready for Kansas this year, I wanted to cover some preparation because over the years at big events, I've seen lots and lots and lots of people's day ruined because they just didn't know how to fix little things. They weren't ready for the unexpected. And that just breaks my heart. So today, I want to cover some of those things with you. The first piece of advice is get used to using your stuff. So some people, it just happens that you get into cycling, maybe you work with the bike shop and they kind of take care of things. And so your job is mostly to get on the bike and ride. But I'm going to encourage you to work with things like the little Presta valves that we have on the bikes. So you've never taken a wheel off a bike. I encourage you, when there's no pressure at home, do those things. And since most of us are riding tubeless tires, and I really would have thought this was common knowledge, but all the times that I'm around people, I see the same kind of thing. And we talk about the valve stems being gunked up from the sealants that we all use behind the bars. So here's your tip, and this will work. I've never had valve stems clog up on me, and this is why. Anytime you're going to open this valve to put air in or let air out, make sure the valve's at either 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock. I guess if you're looking at me, 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock. Not here, even though that's the lowest point of the sealant. It's also closer to the sealant in the valve. Not anywhere around here, because if there's sealant in the valve, it will leak down into the little valve when you open it, and that's no good. So there, right there, or there. And then when you open the valve and let air out, or you're putting air in with your pump, none of that sealant's going to get out because it leaks down the valve and back into the bottom of the wheel. Now, if for some reason, somehow, those valves get clogged up, remember, most of those are replaceable. So you can actually unscrew the little valve tip and take that out and put a new one in. You can save those from old tubes that have removable stems. You can buy little packs of those that are relatively inexpensive. It's good to have those around because, on race day, we get excited and we're not paying attention and maybe that gets sticky. These days, some people still have mechanical shifters, but most of us are riding around on electronic shifting bikes, and that means lots of batteries. Those batteries will die. If you have, I don't know about Shimano. I know they have an app. I've just never used it, but I have used the SRAM app a lot. It will tell you if the battery levels are good or bad. Even on my Wahoo head unit, when those are paired, it will tell me about battery usage. Same with the little rear radar pieces and parts. I have found those are a little finicky. So I think it's a good idea to check those levels in as many places as you can. If you're not sure, replace the batteries. They're inexpensive. Everything I use that isn't rechargeable on the bike takes these CR32 batteries. Here's a little tip with these. I don't know if you've tried to open the package of some of these lately, but in an effort to keep small children and pets safe, it's really hard to get into these packages. I would pre-open these when you bring some extras, and you should bring some extras with you for a long event like Unbound, but pre-open them because it is really difficult to get in those, particularly if you're sweaty and tired from being on the bike. With all that preparation and knowing that was important, as I was riding from the fairgrounds to the start last year in Unbound, the battery in my heart rate monitor and my power meter stopped working. Luckily, I had 2 of these. The packages were pre-opened. I pull over. It was a 5-minute operation because I knew where the batteries were and how to replace them. If you've never replaced the batteries in something like a SRAM shifter, I suggest you try that. It's really easy to get to them, but do you have something like a nickel, or even you have to use the battery to get that little door off? Do you know where the door is and how do you work with that? Much better to figure that out in your house rather than on race day out on the course when you're tired and you're sweaty. And since most of us have the electronic shifting, usually once that stuff's set, it's just kind of set and it doesn't really come out of adjustment. But it is pretty easy to make on-the-fly adjustments for that. And I don't know how it works, but often on race day or when the important day comes, something's just not right. It's making noise. And if it was a 20-mile ride, it wouldn't be that big a deal. But for 200 or 100, it'd be nice to be able to make those small adjustments. So spend a few minutes either with the app on the phone, which I would recommend you learn that too, but also with the buttons on the shifters that allow you to make those little micro adjustments. It can make a big difference in the middle of a race when you're really trying to focus on other important things. So the next tip involves showing up at the race with the best possible chance of getting through the day without incident. I know I have. We've all gotten a little spoiled with how good the gear is these days. You can talk to anybody that did Unbound 10 years ago, and the number of flat tires they had was ridiculous. To get through that race without a flat was just about miraculous. Whereas these days, it's not unreasonable. For instance, I got through all year last year bombing down those rocky descents. No flats. I've ridden those same tires since then, and I'm just now about to replace them without any flat incident at all. I've had a couple of small staples and things get in them that the sealant sealed up, but that's pretty remarkable. It doesn't mean it can't happen. So I really recommend that before the race, you get brand new tires to have the best chance at having it finished. And I know some people are nervous. They're not used to replacing tires. It's another one of those things you should do a few times, because on race day, you might have to put a tube in there to make it to the next stop. Do you know how to break the bead off? But if you show up with fresh tires, with good bar tape that's wrapped nicely, it's not coming loose, with your pedals adjusted so you've practiced in and out and the tension on the pedals is just right, with all the bolts torqued so you had the best chance of getting through that without something rattling loose, that's going to start you off with the best chance. So I hear people say, well, these have been great tires for 2 seasons. I really trust them. That's not the right way to think about that. That tire's getting worn. There's probably 4 or 5 little punctures in it you haven't noticed because the sealant's worked. You don't want to risk the day with those old tires. On the same topic as having fresh tires is getting the bike tuned up. Again, you get used to it. It's been working. Why mess with the good thing? But I think having things like, is the chain in good shape? Is the cassette installed correctly and cleaned? And is there any debris in between that can cause shifting problems? All sorts of things that it's worth checking that we don't normally look at. So you do all that. Bike's tuned, you got fresh tires, you got fresh bar tape, everything's ready to go. You've even practiced getting wheels off and on. You know which size Allen key goes to the bottle cage bolts, which one's on your stem, which one for your seat post, and you know what to do if any of that stuff slips loose. But even with all that preparation, things can happen on course. You might still have a flat. So if you're tubeless, you've probably got something like this, call it a Dynaplug or some other version or company's piece. But have you ever used it? Do you know what to do with it when it happens? With gravel wheels like this, this is really my first experience with tubeless sealant in tires like this. I was never really a mountain biker, so I didn't get into that. So I bought this tool last year. I had a different one called bacon strips the year before, but I didn't even follow my own advice. I've never actually used one of these. So what I thought I'd do now is use the Dynaplug for the first time. So to make it realistic, maybe I've got this in my pocket for race day. And this is what we're going to use to simulate the big rock that I just hit that's going to cause the flat tire. I've never stabbed a bike tire before, so I don't know what's going to happen. That's what happens. So I'm riding along. I hear that noise. I'm going to hop off the bike. I've read the instructions. I've watched the videos. Does it work? And then the idea is you roll it around, so hopefully there's still some sealant in there. There's some sealant. It's all over the desk now. It is still leaking. It doesn't look like enough room to get another Dynaplug in there, but I know people do that. There you go. A second Dynaplug did it. I'm now sealed up. I've now tested the Dynaplug twice. I'm confident I can get that to work. I suggest you do the same thing. This old tire is going to go in the trash or the recycle bin anyway, so why not give it a try? It's better to do it here in the comfort of my own house than to do that for the first time out on the trail. I hope these tips help, and I hope you join along as we get ready for Unbound. We're going to be talking to lots of folks. We'll probably get to talk to my coach, Kristen Legan, again. She's back involved with me this year and really helping me get a little stronger than I was last year to hopefully beat the sun. You can follow me along on Strava at Uphill Still, or on Instagram at Slow Guy on the Fast Ride. And if you have questions, put them in the comments. And if you don't want to do the comments, send me an email at mark@browntimemedia.com.